Welcome back to a brand new episode of Mastering Programming. In today's episode, I'll be showing you how you can use the ASCII table or the ASCII code to create an advanced password generator, just like the one that we are creating over here. If this is something that you're interested to, please make sure you do continue watching this episode and maybe leave down a comment at some point whenever you get satisfied with this video. Let's get started. Welcome back, guys. Now, as you can see, we are going to be using ASCII here in order to actually define which characters we want to include in our password. And the reason we're doing that is because using the ASCII code, we can actually very clearly identify which elements we want to include. For example, if we want to include elements in our password that are lowercase a to z, then we need to specify from number 97 all the way to number 122. If we want special characters, then we can say from line 128 to 191. Now, the reason I'm explaining this is because I'm assuming straight away when you saw password generator, you assume that we're going to be putting all of this in an array and then randomly picking one. But I think this is the best way to do this, and we're going to do it together. Now, really quickly, I'll be writing comment C. The password that we're going to be generating is an advanced password, and it's going to have the following criteria. So the first thing is we need to include 2 uppercase letters from A to Z, and maybe I can increase this. We are going to be including 2 lowercase letters from A to Z as well. After that, let's add 2 digits, so 2 numbers from 0 to 9, and then finally 2 punctuation characters or signs which include things like an exclamation mark, question mark, quotation, and so on. Now that we have that in the comments above, we can actually start working on it. So I left it there so that we can actually sort of go back and see if we're fitting that requirement. Now what I will do is I'll import a library called random. Now this is a library that automatically comes with Python, so you don't need to install it or anything like that. And just for the note, I am using 3.9, but any version of Python that's 3 will work with this. Now, the first function that we're going to be creating is a shuffle function, which allows us to shuffle around the characters of the password that we're going to generate to even make it more complicated. So I'm going to call it shuffle, and I'm going to pass in a requirement or a parameter of string. So out of here, we can say something like temp list. So this will actually convert whatever string is passed here into a list. So if it's dog, then it will be D-O-G. After that, we are going to use that library that we just imported. So I'll say import shuffle temp list. So we're going to be shuffling around that array that we create, or that list that we created. And finally, we're going to return, and we are going to say dot join temp list. So now we're going to join all the elements that were added into that list into one string again, and we're going to return it. Awesome. After that, what we can do is now we can actually start defining which elements from the ASCII code we want to use, or which characters. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we can see that we need 1, 2, 3, 4 different elements of the password. So we're going to say element 1. And we're going to say it's equal to CHR, which stands for character, and I'll say random.rand int. Oh, I don't know what just happened there. Random.rand int. There we go. And here we're going to specify which ones we want. So right now I'm saying generate a random character between 65 and 90. So if we go back over here, that means I want something in the lowercase, because we can see between 65, so starting with A, and 90. So this is the easiest way basically to generate a character, any random character between 65 and 90, and it will always be higher case or uppercase. So first we're picking up a random number between 65 and 90. can be 70, can be 80, anything between that. And then we're saying, give me the character that belongs to that number. Let's go ahead and actually copy this. And let's do it 3 times. So now instead of saying element 1, let's change this to element 2. And instead of element 2, let's say element 3. And then instead of element 3, let's say element 4. And all we're going to be doing is basically changing these numbers. So now for element 2, we want it to be 2 lowercase. So let's go ahead and see the code that represents that. So we can see that it starts at 97 for lowercase a and ends at 122 for lowercase z. So we're going to go back and we're going to say, and I already forgot the numbers, 97 and 122. So let's change that to 97. And then over here, let's change it to 122. Now, the third requirement was anything from 0 to 9. So let's go ahead and have a look at what could represent that. So numbers, which is this. So it's 48 to 57. Again, let's go ahead and change this from 48 to 57. There we go. 2 digits from 0 to 9. And then finally, element 4 is going to be 2 punctuations characters. So these include any of these. So anything from 33, let's not add a space, anything from 33 to 38. Let's do it that way. So I'm going to go ahead here and say 33 to 38. Awesome. So now just really quickly, if I go ahead and print, for example, element, let's say element 1, and I run this Python file, and when we run it, we get an uppercase C, just like we said for element, what did we say? For element 1. Now let's try element 4. So that should be a punctuation character. So I'll just say element 4, save this, let's go ahead and run it. And you can see we get a $sign. So it matches exactly the numbers or the restrictions that we say over here. Cool. So now that we actually have or able to acquire a character from each, what else is left? Well, we want to print this. So let's go ahead and remove the print statement, and instead we can create a character called password. And all we need to do is basically just define how many of them we want. So we want 2 of each. So I will simply say element 1 plus element 1 because we need 2. After that, I will say element 3 plus element 3. You can mix and match these based on how you want it to be, basically. And then element 2 plus element 2. And finally, element 4 plus element 4. Very quickly, let's go ahead and print that password just to have a look at how that looks like. So I'm going to save and print. And we can see that it gives us this amount of characters. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And you can change the order of it. But that's not enough. We want to use that shuffle and change it. So instead, what we can do is we can say password is equal to shuffle and then pass in that password and then print that password again. And now if I save this and run it and expand this, we see that now it gets created. Maybe actually let's clear this and do it again. We see that we get a complicated password and it's all mixed up. So you've got an uppercase character and you've got your numbers and your quotation marks. And for some reason, I don't think I'm getting element 2. It is here. Let's go ahead and run this a few times. Okay, yeah, so we are getting lowercase, higher case, quotation marks, punctuation characters and numbers. And basically that's it. That's how to generate or create an advanced password generator. I hope you did enjoy this episode. Please make sure you do give it a like and a comment and let me know what you think down in the comments.